and welcome to FountainFX on Monday the 15th of September 2014. We're just going to do a quick summary of what's actually happening out there, what to expect this week, and to look at where there's potential opportunities to trade so that you can maximize on your profit. So without further ado, we're going to quickly switch over and have a look at the news. So looking at today, there's not really a huge amount of news coming out. If you're wanting to trade the yen, you may not really see a lot of movement there as Japan has got a bank holiday today. But if we look towards tomorrow, Australia's got some key information out there on their monetary policy. Will be coming out tomorrow morning. Unless you're trading at 3 o'clock in the morning, this will probably not affect your trades. Bank of Japan is speaking. And then we've got some key information from the pound and the euro, Canadian dollar and the US dollar tomorrow. So just be aware of those times when they're coming out. If we scroll further down, we can then see there's a lot of other information, especially a lot of information coming out this week on the pound and the US dollar, specifically Wednesday. So expect some fluctuations in those two currency pairs. Particularly looking at the pound against the US dollar, there might be an influence there. What I would recommend is that you look at the pound against alternative currencies to the US dollar and US dollar against other currencies than the pound, just to minimize the sort of effect. If you get two negative pieces of news on the pound and the US dollar, you might find the actual currency pair doesn't really shift too much. It sort of balances itself out. But look for something in terms of the pairs that you trade where there is an imbalance, and therefore you're going to get some movement. The key piece of news that's coming out on Thursday, if I scroll down to that now, is Scottish independence from the UK, and it's obviously very highly political from a UK perspective, Scottish independence here. I'm not going to say what my view is. Obviously I'm English, not Scottish, so it doesn't really make any difference what I think. But it's going to be something that, from the market's perspective, may have a severe impact on the British pound. So be aware of that on Thursday. It may be a case of watch what happens rather than actually trade the pound on that day. But you never know. You might get some great entries, and that might be a good situation where it reacts to it. But I would say Friday might be the best day in which to take some trades on the pound after the results has come out. So and then we've just got Canadian news on Friday. So it's actually quite a volatile week, which is good. It will cause currencies to move and to shift. So it's about looking for the right opportunities. Now if I'm going to switch back, I'm going to share with you a summary of various pairs that you need to be looking for this week. Now I'm going to do a quick summary on various currency pairs. This is the euro US dollar. As you can see, this last week, this is a 4-hour chart, it hasn't really moved too much. It's pulled all the way back up into this previous area of resistance and it's starting to pull down. It has been showing some strength on the euro against the US dollar, but if we look from the drop the other week, it hasn't really recovered from that. So that was a significant fall in the euro from the beginning of the month, and since then it's been pretty much flat. There hasn't been a continuation in this downtrend. The euro's been trying to hold itself up, support itself, and stop it from falling any further, but it hasn't really moved too much against the US dollar. But if we go and look at the euro against other pairs, let's go and look at the euro against the yen, and we can see the euro has been having a very strong recovery from this initial fall. So that's been providing some serious good entries. We're looking at entry here, here, and here as the price continues to rise. Particularly here, this was the break of this previous high. So, you know, even if you got in late, you are talking of a trade from the 138.20 mark all the way up to the 139.12. So almost 100 points, around about 80-point move there, and that's basically the end of last week. So literally in a couple of days, a nice 100-point trade on that. If we go and look at another euro pair, the euro against the pound, as we can see, the euro's actually been falling against the pound. It hasn't really shown any real strength. The euro and the pound are actually a difficult pair to trade. Often they do tend to sit at a similar value to each other, and they can just not, they can be range bound rather than actually trending at any point in time. But if we now go and look at the euro against the Australian dollar, the Aussie dollar's been experiencing some weakness since the 5th of September. So this was the news about the devaluation of the euro, where price collapsed, and then literally it just turned, recovered, pulled back, and it's just been on a run. And if you can see, this morning there's a nice gap up, so the momentum upwards on the euro against the Australian dollar is continuing to push. We have got some bearish candlesticks forming up here, but in terms of the MACD, the strength is still pushing, and the MACD moving averages are actually pushing higher and higher. So despite the fact that the strength has declined, it's still showing an uptrend, and it's possibly because it's starting to reach previous areas of resistance in this downtrend that formed in August. But we've had a very, very strong uptrend, so look for potential opportunities to enter on the continuation of this uptrend, but be aware that it could, if it starts to form a rollover, double top formation, etc., it could be a reversal for it to then continue back down. But this is an opportunity here on the Euro Aussie. If we go and look at the pound against the Aussie, the pound against the Aussie has been doing a similar thing, but as you can see, it's coming into areas of previous resistance. But it's had a nice run in the last week, all the way from the 172.70 all the way up to the 180.25. So we are talking around about 700 points. So that's quite incredible in terms of that move. So it is a case of look at cross pairs, not necessarily stick with all the US dollar pairs. But if we look at the US dollar against the South African rand, the rand's been on a decline. The US dollar has obviously been showing some strength, especially since the 4th, with the decline of the euro, and it's been pushing all the way up. If we look at the move from there, that's 10.63. And it's gone all the way up to the 11.04. So what's that? 60. If we take it from down here, so 63 to 04. We're talking 400 points. There we go. Nice 400-point move there. Be aware, MACD is declining, pushing back, starting to turn. But so you might be able to go into a smaller time frame and look for where you can get a pullback for continuation. I would check for previous areas of resistance, but certainly the US dollar is very much nearing its high, or at a high against the South African rand. If we look at the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar, we can see that that's falling, so that's been a nice downtrend. Look for an opportunity to sell on a pullback. Euro yen, we've already looked at that one. Gold is falling, and I got a nice trade last week on gold, nice 60 pips in a matter of 1 hour. That was this trade here that pushed, so that was quite nice. And if we go into the Aussie against the US dollar, as I said, the Aussie is falling, so there we go. We can see clearly that the Aussie's in a downtrend, and it gapped again this morning, like it's done for the pound and also for the euro. So there's opportunities there. US dollar against the Canadian dollar. The US dollar is showing strength, so look for buying the US dollar and selling weaker currencies. And the pound against the US dollar is really sort of going sideways, similar to the euro US dollar. So not a huge amount of movement there. If you look at the US dollar yen, it's similar to the euro US dollar, just the reverse. Obviously the Swiss franc, sorry, the US dollar Swiss franc, I'm talking rubbish here. US dollar Swiss franc is similar to the euro US dollar in the sense that the Swiss franc and the euro are very, very linked, very closely linked. You do not want to trade the euro against the Swiss franc because they literally go, they hardly move. There's hardly any difference. They're literally in a channel the whole time. So waste of time doing them. And I think I already went through the US dollar yen, but that's in a nice trend showing US dollar strength. So look to buy the US dollar at the moment, and look to buy the euro. It's really selling the Aussie. The Aussie is weak. The yen is weak, so look at selling the yen or the Aussie, and look at buying the euro, the US dollar. I would steer well clear of the pound at the moment because there's going to be serious indecision because of the major news coming out for the UK economy. And that's it from FountainFX. It's a summary for this week. I hope it helps, and we will catch you soon. Hopefully tomorrow, but all the best. Bye-bye.